Missiles launch. Oil prices react within minutes. Cargo ships change course. Stock markets begin to move. A conflict in the Middle East suddenly sends shockwaves through the global economy, because modern wars are not just fought with soldiers. They are fought with money, a lot of money. Every drone has a price. Every missile has a cost. Every hour of war burns through millions of dollars. And when the conflict involves two longtime rivals like the United States and Iran, the economic stakes become enormous. But here's the real question: who can actually afford war? And how does a country under heavy sanctions still manage to fight one of the world's most powerful militaries? In the next few minutes, you'll understand how much modern warfare really costs, how Iran funds its military despite sanctions, why cheap drones can challenge billion-dollar weapons, how oil routes can shake the global economy, and why the economic battlefield may matter more than the military one. This isn't just geopolitics. This is the economy of war. Let's begin. The price of modern warfare. War today is incredibly expensive. Much more expensive than most people realize. Consider a modern fighter jet. An American F-35 costs around $80 to $100 million per aircraft. Operating that jet can cost over $35,000 per hour, and that's just one aircraft. Modern militaries rely on satellites, intelligence systems, aircraft carriers, missiles, logistics networks, cyber operations, and thousands of personnel. Everything costs money. The defense budget of the United States is the largest in the world. In recent years, it has exceeded $850 billion per year. That's more than the military spending of the next several countries combined. But war spending can grow even faster during conflict. Fuel, weapons, maintenance, transport, emergency deployments. Within weeks, costs can rise into the tens of billions. History shows how quickly the numbers climb. The Iraq War alone eventually cost the United States over $2 trillion when long-term costs were included. Modern wars are not short, and they are not cheap. But when it comes to the US and Iran, the economic picture becomes more complicated, because the two economies are dramatically different. Two very different economies. The economy of the United States is the largest in the world. Its GDP is over $27 trillion. Iran's economy is far smaller. Estimates place it roughly between $350 billion and $400 billion. That means the American economy is more than 60 times larger. On paper, that imbalance should make any confrontation one-sided. But war is not always about spending the most money. Sometimes it's about spending smarter. Iran has spent decades developing strategies designed specifically for asymmetric conflict. Instead of trying to match American military power, it focuses on lowering the cost of warfare and raising the cost for its opponents. The strategy of cheap weapons. One of the most important shifts in modern conflict is the rise of low-cost weapons, especially drones. Military drones can vary dramatically in price. Some advanced surveillance drones cost tens of millions of dollars, but many attack drones are far cheaper. Some models used in modern conflicts can cost between $20,000 and $50,000. That may sound expensive, but compared to traditional weapons systems, it's extremely cheap. Now consider the other side of the equation. Intercepting a drone often requires advanced air defense systems. A single Patriot interceptor missile can cost $3 million to $4 million. In other words, a drone costing $30,000 can force an opponent to fire a missile worth over $3 million. That's a 100-to-1 cost imbalance. And this is exactly the kind of economic strategy Iran and similar military doctrines rely on. Not overwhelming force, but strategic affordability. The goal is simple: make the conflict financially painful for the opponent. Oil, the most powerful economic weapon. The Middle East holds one of the most critical resources in the global economy: oil, and Iran sits next to one of the most important energy choke points in the world, the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway connects the Persian Gulf to global shipping lanes. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through it. Every day, millions of barrels of oil move through this corridor. If that route is disrupted, the consequences spread quickly. Oil prices surge, energy markets panic, shipping insurance costs skyrocket, and countries thousands of miles away begin feeling the economic pressure. Higher fuel prices affect everything: transportation, food production, manufacturing, air travel, inflation. Even small disruptions in the region can move global markets by billions of dollars. That's why energy traders watch tensions between the United States and Iran so closely. Because sometimes the most powerful weapon in a conflict isn't a missile, it's oil. Sanctions. The invisible battlefield war isn't always fought with bombs. The defense industry effect. While wars destroy economies in many ways, they also create enormous demand in certain industries, especially the defense industry. The global arms market is worth hundreds of billions of dollars each year. Major defense companies manufacture aircraft, missile systems, radar technologies, cyber defense tools, military satellites. Every missile fired in combat must eventually be replaced. Every destroyed vehicle must be rebuilt, and every new threat drives new research and development. During periods of global tension, military contracts often increase dramatically. Governments expand defense budgets. New technologies receive funding. Production lines accelerate. From an economic perspective, war shifts resources. Money moves from civilian industries into defense. Factories change priorities. Innovation focuses on security technologies. War is tragic, but economically, it also reshapes entire industries. Global supply chains under pressure. Modern economies are deeply interconnected. A conflict in one region can ripple across the entire world. The Middle East sits at the crossroads of global trade. Shipping routes between Europe, Asia, and Africa pass nearby. When tensions rise, shipping companies begin adjusting routes. Insurance companies raise premiums. Airlines avoid certain airspaces. Cargo delays begin to appear. And when supply chains slow down, the consequences spread quickly. Electronics manufacturers wait for components. Automakers face parts shortages. Retail prices rise. Globalization created incredibly efficient trade networks. But those networks are also fragile, and war exposes that fragility almost instantly. The psychological economy. There is another powerful force in wartime economics. Fear. Markets react not only to events, but also to expectations. If investors believe a conflict might escalate, they begin adjusting their positions. Stocks may fall, energy companies may surge, currencies fluctuate, gold prices rise, oil futures react. Sometimes billions of dollars move in financial markets before a single shot is fired, because uncertainty changes behavior. Investors seek safety, businesses delay decisions, consumers spend differently, and that psychological impact can slow economic activity even without direct destruction. In some cases, the fear of war can cost the global economy nearly as much as the war itself. The long game. History shows that wars are rarely decided purely on the battlefield. They are also decided by economics, by production, by supply, by endurance. During World War II, industrial production became one of the most decisive factors in the outcome. The same principle still applies today. For the United States, the challenge is sustaining extremely expensive military capabilities. For Iran, the challenge is maintaining resistance under economic pressure. Both countries operate under very different financial realities, but both understand something important. Modern wars are not just fought with weapons. They are fought with economies, budgets, energy markets, industrial capacity, and time. The real question. The conflict between the United States and Iran is not just about politics or military strategy. It is also about economics. Every missile has a price. Every drone carries a cost. Every disrupted oil shipment moves global markets. The real question is not simply who wins the next battle. The real question is, who can afford the war? Because in the modern world, victory is not measured only in territory. It is measured in endurance, in production, in economic power, and in the ability to sustain conflict longer than the opponent, because the economy of war often decides the outcome long before the last missile is fired.